Good afternoon. My name is Jennifer Harmoning with the Burnsville Chamber of Commerce. Thank you for joining us today for our Burnsville Parent Forum and Resource Fair. We're excited to bring this event to you. As a parent myself, I know what a critical time this is as you're helping guide your students as they prepare for what comes after high school. This is a part of our Business Education Network, which is a partnership between the Burnsville Chamber of Commerce and School District 191. Our goal is to connect local businesses with our students, parents, and teachers to ensure a strong future for our students and a strong workforce for our community. We have hosted programs in partnership with the school district to connect with students through our Student Workplace Skills Certificate class, our Student Job Fair. We've connected with teachers and counselors at the high school through our externship programs, where they've had the opportunity to go out in the community and visit our businesses and learn about them firsthand so they can share that with their students. And today is our exciting first launch into connecting with parents to help you on this journey as you prepare your students. So with that, I'm going to introduce our sponsors for the event today. We have Minnesota Army National Guard. We also have Kraus Anderson Companies. I'll share a quick ad from them. Thank you to Kraus Anderson and Collins Aerospace, the silver sponsor, along with Doherty, Melenda, Solfest Hills, and Bauer, Firefly Credit Union, M Health Fairview, Fairview Ridges, Wellington Management, and our partners, Career Force, Dakota County Technical College, and the United Way. Thank you to everybody who's helped make this possible, including our chamber staff and staff at the school district, my partner in crime, Dr. Kathy Funston, and thank you to everyone who's made this possible. Now to our panel, what we've all been waiting for. Our panel today will include Dr. Teresa Battle, our superintendent, ISD 191, and Rob Lowe, director of CTE Pathways, Minnesota State, Michael Burnt, president of Dakota County Technical College, Serene Keenan, program officer at Greater Twin Cities United Way, Courtney Shaughness at Collins Aerospace, Hanan Kachman at M Health Fairview, and Dion Clark from TCI Solutions. We'll get started today with Dr. Teresa Battle, and I'll turn it over to you.
Thank you, Jennifer. Hello, everyone. It gives me great pleasure to welcome and provide these words to you as we gather for the inaugural Burnsville Parent Forum and Resource Fair. The theme for the fair is making your student future ready. 191 wants all of our students to thrive academically, socially, and emotionally. We want them to be readers, writers, mathematicians, thinkers, problem solvers, good citizens, and appreciators of art and the world. Most importantly, we want to help them make their hopes and dreams a reality. One of the key words in that statement is their hopes and dreams. In District 191, we're transforming ourselves into a Pathways district, aligning the entire district with the Pathways model we have developed at Burnsville High School for the last few years. A big part of what that means is that each student is finding their own pathway. It's about their individual journey. And we support that in a number of ways. When they are young, starting in preschool and then into elementary, we spark the wonder and curiosity by providing glimpses of what's possible for them in the future. As they grow into middle school, they get to experience those different possibilities with classes and activities in engineering, arts, entrepreneurship, science, culinary, robotics, and more. They start to understand themselves, their strengths and weaknesses, and we help them develop both the social and academic skills they'll need to be ready for the present, for high school and beyond. In high school, the Pathways approach means helping students find what they love and prepare to pursue it after graduation. So many of our students graduate with some kind of post-secondary credential, either college credits or professional certification. For instance, 2 members of the class of 2020 earned their emergency medical technician certifications this summer. Right after high school, if they choose, they can start a rewarding, meaningful, well-paid career that they care about, or they can continue their education. That's the point of Pathways. Our students graduate prepared academically and mentally and with a plan for their future. But that doesn't mean their path is certain. We expect each of our students to keep growing, to keep learning after high school. And that will look different for each student. Maybe they'll pursue a 4-year college degree or even more. Maybe they'll receive technical or professional training or an apprenticeship. Whatever their path, our goal is to prepare each student to find their success. With that, I want to thank all of you for opening yourself to this opportunity. Parents and guardians, thank you for providing your support and high expectations, and for trusting 191 to provide a great educational experience for your child. I also want to say how much I appreciate the commitment and resources provided by the Burnsville Education Network and the sponsors of this fair today. I thank the panelists and presenters for sharing your time and talents. Thanks for sharing the ways in which you and or your organization might help students, whether it's helping with a resume, instill confidence, provide career exploration, or provide other connections to help them realize their dreams. Lastly, I want to thank Kathy Funkston, the 191 Director of Partnerships and Pathways, and Jennifer Harmony, President of the Burnsville Chamber, for coordinating this fair today. So thank you for giving me this opportunity to welcome you, and I hope all of you enjoy the experience at this first ever Parent Resource Fair. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Battle, for that wonderful welcome. And just a reminder that this panel is really a kickoff to our Parent Forum and Resource Fair. We actually have a whole website dedicated to this with video breakout sessions and a toolkit for parents. So on there, you will actually find a career pathway story from Dr. Battle herself, as well as other key videos. So please tune into that. It's on the Burnsville Chamber page, and we'll get links out to you if you can't find that. Our next speaker is Rob Lowe, the Director of Career and Technical Education Pathways at Minnesota State. Thank you for joining us, Rob.
And thank you for the opportunity. I'd like to welcome everyone to this presentation. What I want to talk with you about a little is taking off from what Dr. Battle has said about jump-starting college. And in some ways, this might be slightly misleading because really probably should have said jump-starting post-secondary training. We know that about 85% of the jobs that are going to be available in the future do require some type of post-secondary training. And as Dr. Battle mentioned, that could be anything from just getting a certificate, it could be an apprenticeship, it could be a 2-year program or degree, a 4-year program degree, or it could even involve advanced degrees. I also want to share that for about 10 years, I have worked with Burnsville through Normandale Community College and helped thousands of students gain both college and high school credits simultaneously, and it has been incredibly rewarding. I also would like to share that sometimes a certificate or an apprenticeship or a 2-year degree also leaves students with greater earning capacity or being able to earn more money than a 4-year degree does, surprisingly. For instance, an electrician can start out with about $51,000 or so. And if you are a professor of philosophy, you're starting at about $40,000, and that's a PhD level. So anyway, I'll get off my soapbox about that. But in terms of what we mentioned, jump starting college, what it can do, I will talk about in the next slide, not right now, but some of the different programs that actually are available to students at Burnsville High School. But one of the things that can happen with these programs is that students can start earning college credits. And these credits will stay with them. These are transferable. After they're done with high school, go on to college or whatever, these credits will go with them. So it's a great way to get ahead of the game. I will have a slide a little later too that talks about the dollars that are saved, because this is at no expense to the student or the parent. So this is basically earned credit that there's no charge for. It's free. And as Dr. Battle also mentioned, this is a great way for students to explore really both those next points. They can explore possible college degrees that they may want to pursue. More importantly, they can explore pathways. And when we talk about pathways, really it's sort of a continuum or a continuation of experiences that, as Dr. Battle said, can start quite early and go all the way through middle school, high school, and into college. And it's a very clear-cut pathway. Sometimes what a student may find is that they will start out looking at a pathway and decide, oh God, no, that's not for me. And that's okay. Rather than spending a lot of money and time finding out that they don't like this as their post-graduation, they're finding this information out before they have actually graduated. And I think probably lastly on this slide, it's really a great opportunity, these programs that help with students earn high school and college credit, to experience what college class expectations are like, and more importantly, to learn that yes, indeed, they can succeed in college. So it's very helpful in that regard as well. And again, using vehicles, talking about vehicles for dual enrollment. Dual enrollment is sort of the broad term that encompasses how students can earn both high school and college credit. I could also say programs for dual enrollment. There are 3 major ones, and I'll just spend just a brief time on each. PSEO, post-secondary enrollment options. That is where students will actually go to the college, or, and I suppose in this case, be able to do online, where the college professor is actually teaching the class. Concurrent enrollment might be also known as college in the schools, is where students will be taught a college class by a qualified high school instructor. And something to note when we talk about the PSEO program, there are certain requirements that students need to meet to be eligible for that. When we get to concurrent enrollment, which is where the high school instructor qualified is teaching in the high school, the requirements for students to participate are less, or upon occasion can be waived. So this makes it more accessible to a wide variety of students. Lastly, I'll touch base on articulated agreement. And this is a whole different arrangement where there really is not a requirement. The students don't need to meet any particular requirement to participate. And articulated agreement are for career and technical education classes only, but that can cover, at Burnsville, they have classes in accounting, computer applications, cooking, child development, construction, computer apps, business, welding. It's a wide variety of classes that also carry high school and college credit. And I'll end up with just the last slide, which this just gives you an idea of how much, or potentially how much families and students can save. And this is just looking at Minnesota State colleges and universities, not looking at the University of Minnesota. But you can see that over the last 3 years or so, students have saved, especially of 2019, they've earned over 425,000 credits, and that has saved families and students $85 million. So please consider these as options that you may want your students to pursue, and thank you again.
Rob, thank you so much. That's great information for parents to be thinking about how their students can get ahead while they're still in high school. Next up, on that note, we have Michael Berndt, president of Dakota County Technical College and Inver Hills Community College. Michael, I'll turn it over to you.
Great. Good afternoon, everyone. So two-year community and technical colleges are really a unique American institution. We offer high quality, affordable preparation for transfer to four-year universities or career and technical education for immediate employment. Community colleges serve a broad spectrum as well of students from, as Rob mentioned, current high school students who are looking for free college credit opportunities, as well as to adults who are looking for career advancement, a career change, or just personal enrichment. For more than 50 years, Inver Hills and DCTC have provided high quality, affordable collegiate education for employment and transfer. At Inver Hills, we serve over 4,000 full-time and part-time students, and for us, full-time enrollment is 12 or more credits. We offer about 40 programs in the liberal arts, from the fine arts, computer science, biology and psychology, to career programs like paralegal, nursing, and paramedic. Our programs emphasize small class sizes and an engaged and active learning community. Of our graduates, 57% pursue further education and 43% enter directly into the workforce. DCTC serves around 2,900 students, and we offer over 50 programs like automotive technology, auto body, medical assisting, business, welding, interior design, civil engineering technology, and veterinary technician. So a lot of different programs that might be of interest to students. Our programs emphasize their immersive experiences in preparing students to enter their career fields ready to work. Now, both of our institutions are part of the Minnesota State Colleges and Universities system. This is the 4th largest higher education system in the United States, and it's the largest in Minnesota with 30 colleges, 7 universities, and 54 different campuses. So community and technical colleges offer an attractive alternative to four-year schools. Many of our degrees offer ladders. This is where you can earn a shorter degree that builds to additional degrees or diplomas. Someone looking for short-term training, for example, or for skills that would supplement an existing degree can earn a certificate, right? And they can then take additional classes, develop their professional skills, and earn a diploma, and continue their studies to earn an associate's degree. And then many of those degrees will also transfer into a four-year pathway. So these certificates and degrees often align with skilled positions in industry, right? So one way you can empower yourself is when you're looking at higher education is to ask what kind of jobs would open up with degrees in this program. And then what experience or further education would be needed if you wanted to advance in that particular industry. And so as public two-year schools, we're able to keep tuition affordable and still offer a wide variety of scholarship opportunities. And many of our students intend to transfer to a four-year university. They use their first 2 years with us to complete their general education requirements, explore what program of study they might want to pursue, and then to select a transfer institution that offers the kind of program they want. So this is a great option for students who are undecided what program of study that they're interested in pursuing. Our schools are accredited by the Higher Learning Commission. This is one of several regional accreditors, and these regional accreditors accredit almost all public and private colleges and universities in the United States. So our courses transfer to these institutions in the high 90th percentile. Transfer is most seamless within the Minnesota state system and with the University of Minnesota because we share the Minnesota transfer curriculum. This is a common framework for general education that we co-developed several years ago now, and so that facilitates transfer among our institution. So I know that for many students, the collegiate experience is very important, right? And so two-year schools do offer many of the same experiences. Some of the two-year schools have on-campus dorms, while others, like Inver Hills, have privately owned apartments next to the college that cater specifically to college students, offering opportunities for independent living close to campus. Our colleges also offer a wide variety of student clubs and organizations, student government, theater, music, and sports. For example, DCTC is Minnesota's only scholarship level two-year collegiate athletic program offering women's soccer, volleyball, and softball, and men's basketball, soccer, and baseball. So many of our students attend DCTC for the first 2 years, and then they transfer to continue their collegiate sports career at a four-year university. So many opportunities exist at two-year institutions to prepare for well-paying jobs or to build a stronger foundation for transfer without building a lot of college debt. Thank you.
Michael, thank you so much. This is great information for parents to get a broader picture of the two-year opportunities that are out there for their students. Next up, we have Serene Keenan, Senior Program Officer of Career Academies at the Greater Twin Cities United Way. Serene has been a great partner with us here in Burnsville and the Burnsville schools. I'll turn it over to you, Serene.
Thanks for having me today. I'm here to kind of take that collegiate experience and what Michael and Rob shared and really talk about how much choice is available in that for students and families as they decide how to take advantage of all of the programs available to them. So it used to be that we would say to individuals that a four-year degree is your ticket out of your situation. And what we really want to center on is that we're really most interested in students being future ready so they have the opportunity to live the life of their choosing. Instead of saying that we want students to leave their communities, we really want to focus on what are the skills and talents and degrees necessary for students to take their position within their community to become the leader that we know that we need within their family, within their community, and within living that life of their choosing. So we want people to be able to stay and build power and enrich all of our communities with their talent. So in that, we hear a lot about academic possibility and about advanced academics, but we don't always get great career advice about what's possible. What are those opportunities that are available within their communities? What do those jobs look like? So we might hear about, an advanced math course, but how that math is applied to solving the problems within your community or today is something that traditionally hasn't been focused on when we've been in a really bachelor normative or four-year degree seeking field. So we really value the partnership with Burnsville and other school districts who are really focusing on students' power and future and really making sure that parents know about labor market information, what degrees are available within your community, and how do we make sure that we know how communities and how employment opportunities have transformed. A good example is, how has IT transformed? How have our lives been transformed as we're all very interconnected as we work from home and stay at home and learn from home? How do we think about what are the IT solves and solutions as we are all currently experiencing a pandemic? Students will have more opportunity to see what that looks like, to be able to experience that in career and technical education, and to partner with community and technical colleges and other advanced academic opportunities to be able to build towards that future that they are in control of. So when we look at that, sometimes the academics, including my friends at the Harvard Graduate School of Education, say this very simple chart: if only people would do just this, they'd be able to be into a high-wage, high-demand career with little debt. Unfortunately, this is highly complex in terms of going in and out of all of these opportunities and transitioning between that. So the bigger picture is that blue through line where we combine career and technical education with rigorous academics to ensure that students have the ability in an applied sense to test their knowledge, test college, and test careers. So at that point, when we say that students are able to make a choice about what's next, If that means that they're choosing to enter the workforce, like Rob said, 85% of jobs need some sort of credential, certificate, or degree. So if we're expecting that young people can enter the workforce at 18, it's on us to make sure that they have that credential, certificate, or degree to do so. I mean, if it is the case that they want to go into college, it is our belief that having the experience of doing college while you're in high school, testing what that's like with a peer group of individuals and highly qualified teachers to be able to engage in your first college level course, to be able to be successful in a supported environment, allows you to be a much more informed consumer on how and where and what direction you're going. When we look at this slide, it can look overly complex, but what the takeaway message is that there's a lot of opportunities, both what you heard from Rob and Michael on the academic side of having the systems and programs and policies like PSEO pay for degrees. There's opportunity to earn those credentials in high school where there's pathway-facing programs. And then the other piece is that there are employer partnerships that you'll hear later, where employers are able to say, this is, we would be happy to pay and advance you in those careers. So if you get that entry-level career and certificate, how do we look at that career progression in partnership with the employer? Then finally, the degrees absolutely matter. So as we look at what those opportunities are, Michael alluded to, you could have a PhD in philosophy and start your career at $40,000. That didn't even make my list. But when we look at what those other opportunities are, how do we make sure that, again, we're having that understanding to enter the workforce, you need some sort of credential, certificate, or degree. And how do those build upon each other? How do we have a transparent conversation about what degrees matter and where and how students need to end up at that debt to income ratio to be able to live the life of their choosing? In a lot of cases, starting with a 2-year engineering degree in STEM, partnering with an employer, like you'll hear later, to get an entry-level job into the workforce, but to be able to take advantage of tuition benefits, advance. So if you start with a 2-year degree, advance through to another 2 years for a 4-year degree, and then another 2 years. We call that a 2+2+2. You can still end up at that master's degree. And if you're taking advantage of all of the available programs in terms of both PSEO or concurrent enrollment to allow that first 2 years to be free, partnering with your employer for tuition benefits to take care of those next 2 years, we're really getting to high wage, high demand jobs with little to no college debt. So really taking advantage of the opportunities available to you and really thinking about the majors that your community needs and that you're interested and talented in.
Thank you so much for that information, Serene. It's very, very helpful. Now, I would like to introduce Courtney Shaunis, HR Business Partner at Collins Aerospace.
Thanks, Julie. Hi, everyone. Serene just kind of alluded to this a couple of times in her presentation, but I'm here to put a little bit of a different spin on everything you've heard so far by talking more about those employer partnerships that exist within the community. So, I want to talk to you first about maybe what may be a little bit of a hidden gem. You may or may not be familiar with Collins Aerospace. I'm a human resources business partner for Collins. We are the largest employer in Burnsville. We've got about 1,700 employees, in various, industry areas within our company, manufacturing, engineering, our business functions, obviously a heavy technology footprint as well. I know we may not have the greatest brand recognition, right? We're not a Nike or a Pepsi or a Coca-Cola, but what you may not realize is that we are a unit of Raytheon Technologies, and Raytheon is a Fortune 100 company with 250,000 employees worldwide. So really getting a foot in the door at Collins opens so many opportunities for your students and our employees, and the possibilities are really limitless. You can see on the chart there, I'm not going to read it necessarily at you, but in Burnsville alone, we have about 450 engineers. Even though our name is Collins Aerospace, we don't just do aerospace engineering. So electrical engineering, design engineering, software engineering, manufacturing engineering, we have all of those disciplines within our portfolio. We do have about 900 hourly production employees, and I'll talk to you in a little bit about kind of what that looks like and how that oftentimes is a great foot in the door that opens many opportunities for our employees as well. Those roles are entry level. They require a high school diploma or GED, and they are full-time opportunities for your students as our employees. And then we do have, as I mentioned, other business functions, supply chain operations, procurement, human resources, finance positions as well. So fully functioning business within the community that oftentimes people don't quite associate with being in Burnsville, but we do have a very large employee footprint and we're excited to be a part of the community. So if we look at this slide, probably the #1 benefit that we offer our employees, and as a parent, I can imagine you'd be very interested in hearing more about this, is our Employee Scholar Program. So I always explain this to prospective employees as probably the #1 benefit that you're going to get that's unique to Collins. You know, tuition reimbursement is out there, but the level that this program offers is really exceptional. So basically, any employee that has worked for us for 1 year is eligible for 100% tuition reimbursement. And it is an upfront payment of tuition, books, any expenses that are associated with that degree, entrance exams, paperwork fees to complete your application. All of that is paid for anyone who's worked for the company for 1 year. So we have a lot of employees that come out of high school, maybe take more of an entry-level manufacturing role with us, get some experience, figure out what they want to do, what they want to be when they grow up, and then can turn around once they've worked there for a year and start going to school without having any of those debts, with having a little bit of real industry knowledge under their belt already, and ultimately have that foot in the door, as I mentioned earlier, at Collins, where if they get that degree and they decide they want to do engineering or finance or human resources, they have the ability to transition into those roles post-graduation as well. So it's a huge, fantastic benefit that we offer that, again, I don't know that everyone realizes is out there and exists. And, you know, to the point of some of our panelists earlier, it doesn't have to be a 4-year degree. We do pay for certain certificates. Dakota County, Inver Hills, those are all schools that we partner with through the Employee Scholar Program. People who want to get a certificate in welding, that is something that qualifies. Any technical degrees, all of those things are going to be part of this program. So whether the 4-year path is something you're on, or maybe a technical manufacturing 2-year program, it all qualifies with our scholar program, and we've had a lot of success stories transitioning people from more of those entry-level roles into full-time careers at our company. I did also want to put a little bit of a plug in here. If you do have a student who is on that 4-year, more traditional university path, we do have a very large intern program. Again, Raytheon as a whole has thousands of internships, but in Collins, we usually have about 40 or 50 interns for the summer. Those roles are actually posted right now for the following year. So for the summer of 2021, our positions are posted currently. They are paid internships. They are full-time 40-hour-a-week internships with real-world experience. Our interns are doing meaty projects. It certainly isn't get the coffee, make the copies sort of thing. And oftentimes we are looking to convert those interns into full-time employees post-graduation. So, you know, whether your student is set on a 4-year traditional path, or maybe they don't know what they want yet, Collins is a great place to start, whether as an intern or maybe more of an entry-level role, in order to get the experience that they're looking for. So you know, definitely excited for your students and hoping that they consider Collins as a great starting point for their long-term career goals.
thank you so much, Courtney. We're so grateful to have Collins Raytheon right here in our backyard in Burnsville. And I'm excited to introduce our next speaker here. We have Keenan Kachman, with a workforce development consultant with M Health Fairview, who also has Fairview Ridges right here in our backyard. Keenan?
Thank you, Julie. Hello, parents. And again, my name is Keenan Kachman, and I'm a workforce consultant with M Health Fairview. Fairview Ridges, obviously, has been in the community for a long time, since 1984, and most of you parents know the hospital, I would guess. I'm so excited to be here. I just wanted to say how grateful I am to be working with such an amazing team. Working with District 191 has been fantastic, and just the opportunities that they work so hard for behind the scenes to provide the students. So I'm very grateful to be here with you. A little bit about us, in case you're wondering why M Health Fairview and why the names changed. We've obviously been a partner with the University of Minnesota for 58 years or more, longer than that, but we made it official a few years ago. And we just wanted to really bring awareness to the fact that Fairview as an organization is literally working hand in hand with the University of Minnesota when it comes to research and our patient outcomes. And especially this year with COVID-19 and figuring out a vaccine, it's just been amazing having the academic center be part of our organization, and just, again, working a lot with the research area, and it's made a huge impact on our patients. Obviously, Fairview is one of the largest healthcare providers here in Minnesota. We're all over the map within Minnesota, but I want to focus a little bit about Fairview Ridges and what we do with the students and opportunities that we have. I put together just this little fun slide for you parents to kind of see a little bit about how pathways can work. I know you've heard a lot from our academic team that spoke earlier, Rob and Michael, and it's really, really cool. You do not need to go straight for that four-year degree or associate degree even to really make a good living and figure out what you want to do when you grow up. A lot of people follow different paths. Some kids might know that they want to be part of healthcare, or they might not even know it, but through their pathways at school, they can figure out that they have the heart and that compassion and care, and feel that that could be a good fit for them. Before they even make that decision and decide on a college, they can start working at a very young age. We have even like older middle schoolers, so 8th graders, that start to volunteer and just be in that environment to really test it out and see what is it that they like about it. For example, the first example here, someone can start without anything, without a certificate, licensure, nothing, as a transport aide, and that's the people that will push you in a wheelchair or bring you flowers to your room, or just be that little helper around, and you don't need any experience or anything for something like that. They can go from that into a resident assistant where they do a little bit of patient care. They can get their 6-week certificate as a CNA, and again, that's something that they can get through the employer and move all the way through RN. These are just small examples of how you can go from just an entry-level role into like a doctorate level role if that's what they choose to do. As an employer, because of our size and just footprints, and being that we're nonprofits, we have amazing opportunities for tuition reimbursements. Not quite as good as Courtney is. Unfortunately, we are nonprofits. I wish we had 100% tuition reimbursements, but it is, I believe, around $5,000 a year, which can go a long ways when you pair that with grants and apprenticeship money that we get through the federal government, as well as discounts. We have over 400 educational partners that we work with, and all of our employees do get discounts. Matter of fact, my niece went to Eastview High School this past year, and she did the PSEO through Inver, and now she's at Mankato getting her bachelor's degree, and it was the best experience for her and the best path for her. It is important for us as parents to really look at those things, and it's a new world and a new way of thinking. Really get to know each one of the kids' desires and what they're passionate about, and then get them or help guide them through it. So I can share with you a little bit more information here. These are just some examples that you do not need, again, to have a certain certificate or degree to make a really good wage, especially in high school. Our residence assistants, starts at $14.70. And again, it's a little salary, but that's really good for a 16, 17-year-old versus working at a fast food company, which is just fine. But if their desire and passion is to be in healthcare, this is a really cool way to earn a little bit of money while seeing the environment and seeing what they like and what they don't like. Again, the slide gives you some examples of some starting salaries, and the higher level of degree you have within healthcare, the higher the pay is. But we do have some roles that do not require a higher degree. For example, surgical technicians, that's a 2-year program, and it's very, very highly needed right now. And that's something that most employers will help you pay for that program because we need them so badly. So if you have students are interested in surgical type of environments and want to learn a lot more about that, that could be a good pathway for them. So again, just wanted to say thanks for having me here today to talk to the parents. And if your students have any questions about the healthcare pathway, the high school does a really good job at guiding them, and they have all of our contact information, and we offer a ton of scholarships as well as volunteer opportunities for the students while they're in school. Thank you.
Thank you, Hanan. Great information. And for those of you like me that want to look back at those charts, this video will be posted and we'll get those charts up for you so you can take a screenshot or something. And thank you to all of our presenters so far. And I'm thrilled now to introduce Dion Clark, owner of TCI Solutions, to share with us a little bit of his story and how that might relate to your students. Thanks, Dion.
Well, thank you for having me here. Very, very excited to have an opportunity to talk with you guys, especially the parents. My name is Dion Clark with TCI Solutions. What I want to do, you guys, is to kind of tie in a lot of this information that you've heard. Because if you guys really understand all of these different components that are available to your students and just how they intersect, and you can help the students bring this together, I mean, you're talking tremendous success paths that are waiting for them. And I'm going to tie in a little bit of my own journey because I literally used all of these resources, and it really has put me on a path where I've been able to do the things that I wanted to do and be in a career field now that I really do enjoy. So I want to start back in high school where, unfortunately for me, I didn't know really what I wanted to do. My parents, we didn't talk about college very often. And so for me, the military was my pathway. And I want to correlate the training that the military gave with what we get at the 2-year technical field. I went into the Navy's nuclear training program. That same training is actually offered at DCTC and at Century College and a few others under their ETS program, or Energy Technical Specialist program. I happened to go through the military to get that training. And I'm talking about a skill. We're not really talking at this point having that high level degree. This was them giving me a skill or a trade. I used that skill throughout my time in the military. And when I got out, moved back to Chicago, age 25, that same skill, which was an operator, a nuclear power plant operator, they were paying me $130,000 a year. I was 25 years old. And so for me, already this was unreal. That there were companies who were willing to pay me that kind of money for a skill that I had. That's that first phase, is understanding with our young people that acquiring a skill is so critical. Whatever it is that they're interested in doing, making sure they understand where do you go to get the skill necessary to do that well. While I have this skill, and we heard this with some of the other groups, especially my employers are willing in many instances to pay individuals to go back to school. So I ended up pursuing my bachelor's degree, and I have a bachelor's in human resource management. Let me connect these dots. I'm already in an industry that's paying me well because of a skill that I have. I leverage my employer to help me get the next level of education. Now I have a bachelor's degree, and I'm able to move over into the HR department in the utilities. And so I now know the groundwork. I understand how the business operates. I understand what the front line does. I now have a management degree. They gave me an opportunity to help them with recruiting. And so they're now sending me these different colleges to help with their recruitment efforts, and now learning about the colleges. Parents, what I'm hoping you're seeing here is My career is starting to take flight as I'm using these resources that are available to your students right now. Now I have a bachelor's degree, I have zero debt. I'm making very good money. Because I also were able to take advantage of enrichment programs. For me, the military, for those who don't know, they will help you with your behaviors. They will help you with your discipline. They will help you become a young man and a young woman. So just having those skills, I was now able to sit in certain rooms, certain individuals who were at the higher levels of the companies. By being able to conduct myself in a professional manner, understanding how to behave in certain venues, I then had the opportunity to learn some of the weaknesses that my company had. And because of the experience I now have, I was able to formulate a plan, create a company that can now solve some of my very employers I work for, solve their problems. What I'm trying to paint a picture of is, I went through these processes, took advantage of these different systems that are available to your students. That ultimately led me to becoming a consultant for the very employers that I worked for, meaning they became my clients. This is spread now to multiple states. Several Fortune 500 companies are clients of ours, and we're doing this work now where we're helping others to be able to get into their career paths. And so the system works. There are three key things that I do want to share with you guys. The first one is on the slide. When we're talking about power is having options, I want to make sure, parents, that you guys know I am not this rare case, nor was I happen to be just a lucky kid. If I go backwards slightly, I always look at myself as simply representing the average kid. South side of Chicago is where I actually grew up. That's home for me. Every single challenge that any of the young folks today deal with, I went through those same challenges. All of the hopes, the aspirations, those big dreams of being successful, I had the same dreams, the same hopes, same aspirations, but also dealt with those same things of self-esteem issues sometimes. We didn't have a whole lot, my family, and so there are those things that you deal with where you may not have everything you need. And so it's important that you guys know this is independent of where a student may start off with. It doesn't matter. When you look at taking advantage of these resources, the fact that I made it through, and I'll put a little more context around this. I have a brother that's serving 285 years in prison. I have a sister that just got released and a younger brother that just got released. We grew up poor. And that's about as deep as I can go in the time that we have. I say that because if I'm able to navigate and get to a point where I own a few companies and we're doing well, the process works. It doesn't matter what the challenge is that your young person is dealing with, because they're no different than any other kid where they're going to have those challenges. It gets confusing, it gets difficult. And sometimes as parents, we find it difficult to guide students on exactly what they should do. But I want to encourage you guys, if you leverage the resources that have been talked about, this thing is real. These pathways connect, and these young people have an unlimited number of opportunities for them. The three things, parents, that I simply want to leave you guys with as you guys think about your role in this and ways in which you can really help your student navigate. The first one is recognizing that power is having options. Making sure the students understand that as long as they are taking advantage of every opportunity, do not close doors. That can be anything from making sure they monitor their social media accounts such that 3 years from now, an employer doesn't go backward and see that the young person has some crazy stuff on there. Just keeping every single door open and stressing that to your students, do not close doors. Have that element of excellence so that whatever they choose to do, they can do it because they have not done something that has closed the door or sort of prevented that opportunity. This next thing I want to share with you guys is this concept of helping your student understand their why. This is so important. I'll give a little bit of a personal story on this. I think parents, this is one of the most important things that you can do, is help your student make it make sense to them as to why are they doing what they're doing, what their reason is to persist. Because you know they have a lot of challenges. It's difficult being a high school student, even amidst this pandemic. In Chicago, gangs were just a prevalent issue, especially when I went through high school. And self-esteem, the pressures, peer pressure, all of those things are real. The singular thing that happened to me that gave me my why, and which I do believe has helped me to persist through all of the challenges. My mother made a comment to me when she was in the hospital once that she felt that she had failed myself, my brothers and sisters, because of the conditions for which we were living. And she made a comment that, you know, I wish I would have done certain things differently because I feel that I failed you guys. And she was basing that on the fact that we were struggling. And I don't know how I had the wherewithal. I was only 11 or 12, but I remember I was able to tell her that, Mom, if all of your kids fail, maybe you had something to do with that. But if one of us succeeds, you would have to accept that we made our choices. And at that moment, I made a promise that I will not fail. And it doesn't mean I never failed at anything, but what it did for me was me making this promise to myself and recognizing that my mother feeling as if she failed was such a powerful motivator for me to do what I needed to do to be successful. There was no gang strong enough that can pressure me to do something, because making sure my mom didn't feel like she was a failure was more important than peer pressure. It was more important than what people thought of me. It was more important than what I wore. There was no student, no one who had more of an impact than me not wanting my mother to feel like she was a failure. That was my reason. That was how I was able to really stay on course, really focus. Was I had a why. I actually had a reason that was mine, not what my parents gave me. I say that parents really take time and help understand what is it that is important to your student. Help them find that why, so that as they're going through this journey, they always have that reason in front. So you know it's going to get difficult, it's going to be challenging, but if they have a strong reason to persist, they'll do it. This last thing that I want to share with you guys is really when we talk about managing expectations in reality. This is the other thing, parents, that I really think is going to help you guys be able to help navigate your students through this journey that they're on, their own particular success. All of our students have what their reality. And sometimes what they feel is not necessarily what we believe is reality. But you've probably heard the saying, perception is reality, and that's so true. When you look at expectations, what we found in the work we've done with young people, there are a lot of young people who believe there are certain things that teachers should do. There are certain things that mom and dad should do. Whether it's expect my mom and or my dad or somebody who I care about to give me a hug each morning. I expect them to spend some time with me doing my homework. A student may have expectations that they never shared with you, meaning you may come up short not even knowing that it's something so simple that they wanted, but you just may not have known that. But that can have a devastating effect on the young person, because they may assume you don't care. They may assume you're not as invested as you are, simply because you didn't know that there was something that they needed. I share this, you guys, because please take that time to make sure you understand what is it that the student is expecting. And that gives us an opportunity to let them know whether we can do that or not. If it's something that we can do, then let's do that. But so many students end up holding things in. They feel as if sometimes we let them down, but they never ever tell us what their expectations are, and we never had a chance to meet them. If we can get in front of this, just find that time to find out what they need from us, what they need from the teachers. That'll give us a chance to meet those expectations, so that the student doesn't have a discrepancy between what they think we should do and what we actually are doing to help them. These things combined, you guys, I really think kind of help set us up to be able to help our students out and really take advantage of everything that you've heard from this panel. Everyone on this panel, including myself, is nothing but an example of going through these steps, completing it to the finish line. And each of us have had our own success in our own way. And we fully expect that your students can have that same success, whatever they define as success. So definitely thank you guys for giving me an opportunity to share. Hoping that this was very, very meaningful for you. Thanks.
Dion, we can't thank you enough. And to our whole panel, if anybody's like me, wish you had at least another hour with each of our panelists. I want to thank our panelists for joining us today. And just so you know, every panelist that's with us today is fully invested in our schools and in your students. They're all here for a reason, and they're all connected. And that's a part of the framework of what's here to help and support you and your students. I also want to share that, again, this is part of our Parent Forum and Resource Fair. So please visit burnsvillechamber.com to take a deeper dive into specific topics you have more questions about. As I mentioned, there's some videos, there's some toolkits, there's some timelines for parents, depending on if your student is a freshman or a sophomore or a senior like mine. Your timeline looks a little different. So we have those separate timelines there. And most importantly, there's a connection to the Career Center at Burnsville High School. Please take advantage of that. Marcia Sexton, the director of that Career Center, is an amazing resource and can help point you in the right direction if there's additional resources that you need. There's also a survey on our parent forum site that you can fill out to let us know how the resources have served you and if there's additional resources we can provide. Thank you again to our sponsors, to Dr. Battle, to the school district, to my staff at the Chamber for helping make this all happen, and to all of our panelists. And I hope you have a great day, and we'll see you over on our website. Take care.